Welcome to ancient Greece. We're here today getting ready for another exciting Olympics. But before we get started with this year's games, let's take a look back on how we got here. I am Sydney and this is my co-host Will, and we will be your historical guides for this thrilling recap of the very first Olympic Games, held in the year 776 BC and the history that soon followed. The Olympic Games held in Olympia for only Greek city-states like Athens, Sparta, Olympia, and Elis are a massive deal. They are held every 4 years as a way to honor the king of the gods, Zeus. It is as much a religious festival as a sporting event.
That's right, Sydney. The games are so important that a truce is called between all the Greek city-states, meaning all wars and disputes are paused so that all athletes and spectators can travel safely to and from Olympia, the stadium where it all happens. Originally, the athletes wore loincloths, but eventually they would change to being naked and covered in olive oil to show their strength and beauty of the human body.
Did you know that the word gymnasium comes from the Greek word gymos, which means naked?
I did not know that, Sydney. Thanks for that bit of information. Let's go to our sideline reporter, Jacob, to tell us about the main event in the first ever Olympics, 776 BC.
Thanks, Will. The Olympics started with a race called the Stade. All the races took place on a straight track in the stadium that was about 192 meters long. The stadium race was 1 length, and the dialis was 2 lengths. And the Dolichos was even longer, but historians cannot seem to agree on the actual length. Back to you, Sydney.
Wow, 192 meters? That's like 2 football fields. Jacob, who was the winner of that first race?
Corbus of Elis was the first recorded winner, receiving the famed olive leaf crown, which is right here on my head. But I am sure this is only because I was not there. Mic drop.
That does sound really exciting, but I'm surprised it took 17 Olympiads to add other non-running events.
I'm sure that the variety was well received. Events that were added over the years included discus, where athletes hurl a heavy discourse made of bronze, iron, and stone as far as they can, and javelin, where athletes hurl a wooden spear. In the long jump, athletes jump as far as they can using weights in their hands to gain momentum rather than the long run-up. There's also a man playing the flute to help them get into a swinging rhythm for the jump. The pentathlon is a 5-event contest combining running, jumping, discus, javelin, and wrestling. Other events included boxing, 4-horse chariot, and pancration. Let's toss it back to Jacob to help us understand some of these events.
Okay, guys, I'm going to tell you more about the pancration that was added in 648 BC. It is a combat sport that mixes boxing and wrestling. There are only 2 rules: no biting and no eye gouging. The first person to fall was in trouble because there were even more deaths. However, more deaths were avoided because most people usually passed out or surrendered before they died. Now, the chariot races were one of the most popular events that started in 680 BC and included 4 horses. It was the only event where people still wore clothes, I'm guessing because they would scare the horses. Participants risked serious harm and death due to crashes and collisions, which added to the excitement for the spectators. Back to the studio.
Speaking of the chariot races, this was the only capacity in which women were allowed to participate. Women were only allowed to participate as a trainer of the horses for the equestrian events. The first woman to win an event as a trainer was Caniska of Sparta. She won the 4-horse race with her team in 2 consecutive Olympics. Her victories inspired women all over Greece to start training and taking part in the horse events. You go, girl! Future events included 2-horse chariot race and a horse riding contest.
Well, we are out of time. We hope you enjoyed a look back to the ancient Greek Olympics. Hard to believe how far we have come since 776 BC.
I wonder what events we will see in the next 2,000 years. Thanks again to our sideline reporter, Jacob.
Now for the chariot race, crowd favorite Jacob Havnen.
Go Nelly!
Good night, everyone!